Here is a question I want you to sit with for just a moment. If a doctor told you right now that there is a vaccine that can significantly reduce your child's risk of developing cancer later in life, would you get it for them? Most people say yes immediately, without hesitation. So why are so many people saying no to the HPV vaccine, which is exactly that vaccine? The answer isn't logic. The answer is misinformation, and today we're going to cut through all of it. The question that starts everything. What if someone told you there was a vaccine that could prevent cancer? Not reduce the risk, not improve your odds, actually prevent certain cancers from ever developing in the first place? You'd probably say, where do I sign up? And yet, every single year, millions of people around the world skip this exact vaccine. They skip it because they're scared, because they've heard things that don't sound right, because no one sat down and explained it to them properly, or because they assumed it wasn't meant for them. That vaccine exists. It's the HPV vaccine. And this video is going to tell you everything you actually need to know about it, honestly, clearly, and without any agenda except your health. What is HPV and why should you care? HPV stands for human papillomavirus. And before you switch off thinking this doesn't apply to you, here's something that might surprise you. HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection in the world. Not one of the most common, the most common. Globally, nearly every sexually active person will contract some form of HPV at some point in their life, most of them without ever knowing it. In many cases, the body clears the virus on its own. No symptoms, no lasting harm. But in some cases, it doesn't clear. And when it doesn't, HPV can cause very serious diseases: cervical cancer, throat cancer, anal cancer, penile cancer, and genital warts. Cervical cancer alone kills over 300,000 women every year. Most of those deaths are in countries where screening and vaccination are not widely available. But no country is immune. No community is untouched. HPV is not a rare or distant problem. It is everywhere. And the vaccine is one of the most powerful tools we have to fight it. What the HPV vaccine actually does. Here is how the vaccine works, in plain language. The HPV vaccine does not treat an existing infection. It prepares your immune system in advance so that if you ever encounter certain strains of HPV, your body knows exactly how to fight it off before it can cause damage. The most widely used vaccines, Gardasil 9, protect against 9 strains of HPV. 2 of those strains cause about 70% of all cervical cancers. 2 more cause the majority of genital warts. The remaining 5 are responsible for additional cancers. This is not experimental science. The HPV vaccine has been studied for over 2 decades. It has been given to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. The data is clear, consistent, and overwhelming. It works. Countries with high vaccination rates have seen dramatic drops in HPV-related cancers. In some places, certain strains of the virus are close to being eliminated entirely. This is what a successful vaccine looks like in action. Who needs it and when? This is the part where a lot of people get confused, so let's be specific. The HPV vaccine is most effective when given before any exposure to the virus, which is why it is recommended for preteens, typically between the ages of 9 and 12. At this age, the immune response is also stronger, meaning fewer doses are needed for full protection. But here is what many people don't realize. The vaccine is also recommended for teenagers and young adults up to age 26 who were not vaccinated earlier. And depending on your health history and your doctor's recommendation, vaccination may still be beneficial for adults between 27 and 45. And critically, the vaccine is for everyone. Not just girls, not just women. Boys and men need it too. HPV causes cancers that affect men: throat, anal, and penile cancers. Men also transmit the virus. Vaccinating everyone is how we actually reduce transmission across the entire population. If you are unsure whether you or your child should get vaccinated, the answer is almost certainly yes. Talk to your doctor, but don't delay out of confusion or fear. Real side effects. What to expect. Let's talk honestly about side effects, because this is where a lot of the fear comes from. Like any vaccine, the HPV vaccine can cause mild reactions. A sore arm at the injection site is the most common. Some people experience mild fatigue, a low-grade fever, or a brief headache in the day or two following the shot. Occasionally, someone may feel lightheaded immediately after the injection, which is why doctors ask you to sit for 15 minutes afterwards. These are normal immune responses. They are signs that your body is building protection. Serious adverse reactions are extremely rare. Large-scale studies involving hundreds of millions of people across multiple countries have found no credible link between the HPV vaccine and conditions like autoimmune disease, infertility, or long-term neurological harm, even though something circulates online. Every claim of serious harm from the HPV vaccine has been investigated rigorously, repeatedly, by independent researchers, government health agencies, and international medical bodies. The conclusion, every time, is the same. The vaccine is safe. While some people may experience serious adverse effects after a vaccine, these are extremely rare events. Being vaccinated is far safer than risking a rare serious adverse reaction alone, unless, of course, you're recommended to avoid vaccination by your doctor. The myths that are costing lives. Let's address the myths directly, because these myths are not harmless misunderstandings. They're costing people their lives. Myth 1. The HPV vaccine encourages sexual activity. There is no evidence for this. None. Studies that have tracked vaccinated teenagers find no difference in sexual behavior compared to unvaccinated peers. Getting a vaccine does not change behavior. What it does change is health outcomes. Myth 2. My child doesn't need it because they won't be sexually active. The vaccine is given before potential exposure, precisely because it cannot be predicted when exposure will occur. It's a preventative tool, and prevention only works before the fact, not after. Myth 3. It's only for girls. This is outdated and dangerous. HPV affects men too, and men transmit HPV too. Vaccinating only girls leaves half the population unprotected and keeps the virus circulating. Myth 4. Natural immunity is better. Unlike some illnesses, HPV infection does not reliably produce strong natural immunity. The vaccine produces a more consistent and powerful immune response than natural infection, and without the risk of cancer. Myth 5. It hasn't been tested long enough. The first HPV vaccines were approved in 2006. Now we have almost 20 years of real-world data with hundreds of millions of people. That is a substantial and reassuring track record. You don't have to allow it in your family. You don't have to allow it in your community. Knowledge is the beginning. Conversation is the next step. And action, getting vaccinated, encouraging others, pushing for better public health education, that is how change happens. The HPV vaccine is one of modern medicine's genuine triumphs, a chance to protect our children, our communities, and ourselves from cancers that should never have to happen. Take that chance. You won't regret it, but you might regret not taking it.